Very good. Awesome. Sorry about that. Welcome to today's training where I am going to teach you how to do mobility with the steel mace. So obviously, you know probably by now that I'm a big fan of mobility warm-ups and mobility in general to kind of make us feel good and move well and avoid all of that physical decline most people experience as they are aging. But what you can also do, you can do loaded mobility. So it's still mobility. It's kind of like the next step of mobility training. And it's the line between loaded mobility and strength training is sometimes a little bit blurred. So today, what we're going to do, I'm going to teach you 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5, 6 really awesome mobility movements with the steel mace. Now, for when you're doing mobility warm-ups with the steel mace, you want the lightest mace possible that you have, okay? For me, that is a 4 kilo. If you are still really new to the mace training and the 4 still feels quite heavy for you, just see how you go. Just try it. And I will show you some, obviously, as always, some modifications when you're just starting out, okay? So when do I do mace mobility training? So sometimes I do it before my strength training workouts. Sometimes I do it as a standalone training session when I just want to move, or I am specifically tight somewhere, or I notice that maybe I've got a bit of a missing range somewhere, or I want to work on specific mobility. So maybe you might have not so optimal posture. Yeah, so if your shoulders are kind of rolled forward and you notice that your neck is kind of hanging forward as well, then you might want to do some chest opening exercises. If you notice that your hamstrings are tight, then obviously you can do some legs exercises, okay? So if you're joining me live, let me know where you're joining me from, even when you are joining me on the replay. And yeah, let me know how these movements make you feel. If you have any questions, obviously, as always, just pop them in the chat box, okay? So the first movement I'm going to teach you is the ballistic curl. And this is actually an awesome exercise when you're doing it with a heavier mace. But if you do it with a light mace, it's actually a beautiful warm-up for all of the back muscles and getting you unlocked in the shoulder blade area. So this is where people are often really tight, especially people that are working at a computer, have kind of tightness here and have very poor mobility in the thoracic spine, which often leads to a lot of pain in the neck or pain in the lower back, okay? So the ballistic curl is fantastic for that. So the grip for ballistic curl is under over. So by the mace ball, you're going to go under, and then on the other side, you're going to go over, okay? And you're going to start in a seatbelt position, yeah? So this is a seatbelt position, yeah? And this is exactly what we're going to do. So first, I'm just going to run you through the movement, and then I'm going to teach you how to kind of engage the muscles and make them work, even though the steel mace is quite light, okay? So you're going to start here. And then as you come to this position, I want you to crush the mace together. Now, what do I mean by that? So when I refer to crushing the mace together, I'm referring to the force this way. And when it's down here, this way. So it's as if you're imagining that you are kind of crushing the ends together. Yeah. So here. And as soon as you kind of perform this motion, you should feel a lot of tension in the core and a lot of tension in all of the muscles in the back. Yeah. So crushing the mace means this movement. Yeah. So crushing the ends together. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. Because it's steel, but you can pretend you're trying to do it. All right. So crush the mace and try it, okay? I want you to put the glutes behind it and put the core behind it as well, the abs, yeah? And then the lats. So really compress the back, the lats, and crush and release. Let's just try, let's just start with that, okay? So crush, release, crush, release. You should feel the crush. You should feel the whole core engaged. By the core, I mean all of the muscles on your body minus the legs from here down and minus the arms. But you will notice that you're working the arms as well, because I feel it in my shoulders, triceps, and biceps too. Okay. So crush, release, crush, release. Let's go into the ballistic curl. So from here, crush, release, travel, seat belt, in the opposite direction, crush. Okay, so travel, release tension, crush, lots of tension, release, crush. Okay, let me know if this makes sense to you. So let's start again. Crush the mace, release the tension, travel, crush. And this is your ballistic curl. And you should feel a whole bunch of stuff happening in your back. I actually feel it in my pecs as well, in my chest, and I feel it obviously in my arms as well. Okay, so crush the mace, travel, crush the mace. Let's transfer it to the other side. Try it on the other side. Crush, travel, release tension, crush. Yeah, so you go crush, crush. Yeah, go nice and slow at the beginning. Don't rush this. Yeah, but it's a fantastic warm up. It's actually a really nice core exercise as well. Yeah, obviously it's mobilizing the elbow as well, because you are doing this with the elbow. Yeah, so fantastic kind of muscle activator as well, especially if you are planning to do kind of a lot of core and back exercises, okay, which most of the mace movements are. Okay, so this is ballistic curl. Any questions about the ballistic curl? Hello, found you, awesome. Lovely to have you live. I can't quite see who it is, but that's okay. It just says Facebook user, but that's fine. I'll have a look on Facebook later on. Okay, so this is ballistic curl. Then we're going to go into an overhead press. So for a lot of people, they have limited range of motion in the shoulders. So for them, doing a perfectly overhead kind of press or extension is really difficult. They sometimes kind of hear, or they borrow the mobility from the back and then do this kind of arch. Okay, so what's really nice is first just to go body weight. You can just go into here. Make sure that as you are coming up with the arms, you don't have your arms by your ears, which means that you have destabilized shoulders. Yeah, so you're going to really compress down, lock the core, and then come up. Yeah, you always have a bit of a gap. So as you are pressing your arms overhead, you're pushing the shoulder blades down. So you're not here, but you are here, and you feel that lovely tension in the lats. Okay, so we're going to go into that movement. I'm just going to shimmy my screen a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do it with the mace. All right, so then we are kind of training the mobility under a little bit of load. The grip for overhead press, it's over. Yeah, so you're closing the palms over the mace on both sides. Okay, from here, first you are going to tuck your glutes under, stabilize the abs, and compress the shoulder blades down. The mace goes to your sternum, somewhere where it's comfortable for you, and you're going to drive the elbows under. From here, lock everything and press overhead. Okay, obviously it's loading you unevenly as well, so your core has to kind of negotiate that too. So from here, with an exhale, come here again, making sure that you are compressing the shoulders down. You don't want to go into this. Okay, so you need to be able to feel the tension in the lats as you are lifting overhead. So obviously this is a lovely warm up for the shoulders, kind of promoting the full range of motion, restoring the full range of motion in your joint, in your shoulders, and then creating stability in the shoulders. Okay, switch to the other side. Again, driving the elbows under, reset the core, go on the other side. Okay, now what's really nice if you want to engage the lats as well and the back muscles is to pretend that you are pushing something up, something heavy, and then really intentionally pull down as if you are pulling something heavy down towards you. So if you go to the gym, it's like the lat pull down. Okay, so rather than just kind of doing this for the sake of it, you can actually go quite intentional, lock everything up, push as if it was really heavy, pull as if it was very heavy. Okay. So you're kind of starting that activation process, and then it's kind of turning from a mobility movement, kind of slightly going into like a bit of a strength exercise as well. Okay. So try that. This is also fantastic, obviously, to create stability in the core too. Okay, the third one is a bit of a thoracic rotation. So what is thoracic rotation? Thoracic rotation is the ability to turn your core, turn your kind of thoracic spine while the hips are straight. So obviously you can turn here and you're turning the hips, but what's really important to have enough thoracic mobility. So thoracic, I mean this area around the shoulder blades, around the chest, which needs to be in the body super mobile. So it's about being able to turn without turning the hips as well. And see, I've got a little bit of limit here. I can feel it. I can open up so much easier here. But here I fear there's a bit of a tension on my right shoulder blade. Yeah. So see, try just body weight. Make sure you're really engaging the abs. Okay. You need to be able to protect the spine. So lock the glutes, lock the abs. And first just go here, and then we'll try it with the mace. Okay. So here, just open up. Yeah. See where your limitations are. You might have limitations in the chest as well, especially if you are spending a lot of time on the computer. And let's try it with the mace now, okay? But do a body weight first, just to kind of get familiar with the movement, okay? So what are you going to do? You're going to open, yeah? So you're going to over grip, and then you're going to place the mace in front of you, yeah? So roughly the mace ball is kind of by your sternum, yeah? You're holding the hand really close to your chest, yeah? And then the other hand is somewhere halfway up the mace, okay? Somewhere where you're comfortable. From here, you are going to actively really lock the glutes, lock the abs, compress the shoulder blades down. And then you're going to just slowly, just open the palm so the mace ball moves inside your palm. And then you are going to stretch. Now, this shouldn't be too difficult because you are holding the end of the mace, which is not weighted. All right. So here. Now you're going to transfer back, switch your grip, and then you're going to go to the other side. If you find the switching too difficult, you can also just do it on one side first. Yeah. Come back. Yeah. Without actual switching. Yeah, just kind of cradle the mace ball in your hand. Make sure you're careful so it doesn't fall out of your hand. Yeah. And then you transfer, and then you try it on the other side. Yeah, I've definitely got a bit of tightness on my right shoulder blade. It's good to know. It's good to know. Okay. And then if you want to, you can start transferring. Yeah. Carefully. Don't let the core go. Okay. Make sure that the back hand, the back arm is straight. All right. If I show you sideways. Yeah. So here, not twisting the hips. Yeah. Okay. So this is a fantastic exercise. Obviously, you can do it also the other way, but I'm not going to teach you that just now. Yeah. That's a little bit harder one. We're just doing some light mobility. Okay. So we've done ballistic curl, we've done overhead press, and now we've done a modified rear swing, okay? So now we're going to go into opening the chest a little bit, which often gets quite tight. If you have less than optimal posture, then you really want to stretch the muscles in the chest and open it up and strengthen the back, okay? And you can do that with casts, yeah? So you can obviously do one-handed casts, but that's bit of an advanced kind of version. We're going to do two-handed casts, yeah? So you are going to hold the mace here, and your hands are together. And you want to choke it. You want to have it, first of all, you want to have it nice and short, the distance between your top hand and the mace ball, yeah? As you get a little bit more familiar with it, then you can go a little bit lower, okay? Now, You're going to start in a position where this arm is perfectly at a right angle and the elbow is on the inside of the rib. It's not back here, it's on the inside. Yeah? The hand that is across the body, it's on the bottom. All right? From here, you're going to lock the glutes, lock the core, compress the shoulder blades down, and then you're going to cast the mace over your shoulder. Yeah? The angle of this arm doesn't change. It's right angle the whole way. You're going to open up, obviously not arch the back, and then you're going to bring it back. Okay? So see how you go here. If you need to choke it even more, yeah, it will become easier. I wouldn't go more than kind of halfway if you can, yeah? So this is an arm cast, yeah? Really opens the whole chest. I had a client who started doing these for a while, and then she said that suddenly she could do up her bra behind her back again, which was not possible before. So obviously opens the whole chest, yeah? Then you can transfer and try it on the other side. The same applies, yeah? Here we go. So these are called arm casts. Wonderful kind of mobility / strength exercise too, yeah? Obviously, once you get really good at that, then you can start doing them with one arm as well, okay? Which is like a whole new level, but that is quite awesome for building stability and strength in your shoulders and in your arms. Any questions? Tough one, not coordinated for the front and the back. You mean, was it the thoracic rotation? Is that the one you find tough one, or was it the arm cast? Let me know, okay? Keep the questions coming, okay? I'm kind of doing quite fast training, I kind of realized. So let me know if it's all making sense, and then maybe watch it again after we finish, okay? And the last one, we're just going to warm up, activate the glutes and warm up the hamstrings on just some simple deadlifts, yeah? So if you're not familiar with the deadlift pattern, and I think most people really are, deadlift is a hip hinge pattern, okay? So as opposed to a squat where you're going down with the hips, the deadlift is where you're going back with the hips, yeah? So the bend in the legs is not as big. You're going to really activate the glutes and the hamstrings, and you kind of chopping yourself at the hips or mooning someone behind you, and you're going to come down like this, okay? So it's not a squat, which will be here. It is there, okay? So try a few, just body weight. Make sure that you kind of know what you're doing. And then we're going to try it with the steel mace, okay? So the grip is over. You are going to know if your deadlift is good, if you can kind of, if the mace travels straight down. So if I do a really good deadlift, my mace travels down while I bend down, clears the knees, and then I'm going to bend a little bit, okay? If I'm going into a squat pattern, this is what's going to happen to you. The mace will literally get stuck on top of your knees, okay? What you can also do at the beginning while you're still conditioning the deadlift is you're only going above the knee, yeah? You want to engage your abs and compress the back muscles, the shoulder blades down as well, yeah? So this is your deadlift. You can obviously go down a little bit lower because it's a lovely mobility exercise for your hamstrings. It obviously warms up the hips and it activates the glutes. So if you've got slightly underactive glutes, or you're struggling to really fully engage your glutes in exercises, do some activation work before you do your main workout, okay? So you're kind of like switching them off on, and you are priming the nervous system. So you're priming the neural pathways from your brain and the thick nerves that come off your spine into the muscle in your glutes, okay? Switch the mace. And let's do a few more, okay? So really, really tighten the glutes. Yeah, they should be engaged the whole time. I know that sometimes people can kind of only engage them halfway and then they kind of switch off. So only go to the range where you feel the abs are really engaged. The glutes, yeah? And abs obviously as well. So this is a lovely exercise or lovely mobility movement for warming up the hamstrings and activating the glutes. Okay. And it's a lovely one for the lower body, obviously. Here we go. Okay. So I have just taught you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mace mobility movements. Okay. That you can do before your workouts, or you can do it as a standalone session just to work on your mobility and a little bit of load. Okay. Because the difference between flexibility and mobility is that mobility is really flexibility with strength. Okay. So if I talk about flexibility, flexibility is this, but mobility is this. See the difference? So this was me just using momentum and going somewhere where I kind of can. Potential for injury, of course. That's why a lot of people get injured in yoga, because they overstretch and overstretch and overstretch and don't build strength around the joint and in the connective tissue. This, hell of a harder, but now I'm supported by strength. Okay, so that's the difference between flexibility and mobility. So that's why doing mobility with the mace is so good, because you're adding a little bit of load. However, if you're still starting with mobility and you haven't done much of it, just start with body weight mobility, okay, and then slowly progress to mace mobility. If you are a super active person, ex-athlete or still athlete, then make sure that you add some mace mobility into your training schedule, not as an afterthought, but actually actively adding it into your training schedule, because you will notice that your joints, your connective tissue, your small stabilizing muscles around the joints are going to become so much stronger. And those are usually the areas of weakness for most people. It's not the big muscles, because that's what we tend to train in the gym and in other kind of forms of training. But where the injuries happen is often your ligaments, your tendons, your joints, and the small stabilizing muscles like the rotator cuff. The amount of people I hear that they've torn their rotator cuff muscles, or upset all the hip flexors around their hips, it's a phenomenal number of people, and that is because they are not building actively strength around the joints, in the joint, in the ligaments, in the tendons. The amount of people I talk to with torn meniscuses and shoulder impingements and shoulder ligament tears. I mean, it's totally avoidable. Okay. If you only dedicate 10-15 minutes 2-3 times a week to some kind of targeted mobility, you can avoid all of that and then enjoy your favorite sport for as long as you possibly can. There is no reason why you need to be sidelined by injuries. Those are entirely, I mean, sometimes they are unavoidable as well. I mean, sometimes stuff happens and your body gets accidentally jerked into ranges where you just don't have strength. But if you are building strength in the ranges like here, then if your body gets jerked into, like, if I have a nasty wipeout in the surf and, the board gets jerked out of my hands or something, if I'm been building the strength and the final range of motion, chances are I might not actually get injured. Okay. Whereas if you don't have the strength in the final range of motion and in your joints and in the stabilizing muscles, then you might get injury. So don't think about mobility and weighted mobility as a bit of an afterthought and like when you have time, but dedicate space in your training schedule for that specifically. 10-15 minutes. I mean, we've gone through 5 movements. 10 minutes tops, I reckon. Okay. Any questions? The thoracic rotation. Yeah, that's a hard one. I will suggest that if you're struggling with the thoracic rotation, just lock. You can even watch yourself in the mirror and go body weight first. Yeah. Don't load it. Yeah. Go body weight first. Yeah. Get your kind of head around it. Make sure that you know what it feels like, what you need to engage. Observe where you are tense. Like I have just found out that I have got a little bit of tension in here in this range. So I'm going to now go and work on that. Yeah. I don't know why. It's on my right side. Yeah. And then you can pick up the mace and then you try it with the mace. Yeah. Very carefully. To start on one side. Yeah. So you don't have to, exert the mental load, to the mental energy to switch, and just go one. Okay. It's a beautiful stretch for the bicep line as well, which often gets quite tight, especially if you are spending lots of time on the computer, okay? So if you're watching the replay and you have some questions, please send them my way. Happy to answer them. Send me a video if you need to troubleshoot something, and enjoy the Mace mobility, okay? You can do all of this Mace mobility. If you don't have a Mace, you can do it just with a wooden stick, just a dowel, okay? It will just give you a little bit of a reference point, and then when you buy your Mace, then you can start doing it with that, okay? So, beautiful women, thank you so much for joining me live. It's wonderful to have you here, and keep the questions coming. I will be looking back into the replay and make sure that I answer all of them, okay? So, thank you so much for joining me live, and I will see you next week for some more awesome training with the steel mace. See you.